DJ Smallwood, Slingin Dirt Media. I found my way back out to Loveland, Ohio. I think that's about where I am, or the general area.
Yeah, Goshen, Loveland.
Goshen, Loveland, something like that. This shop seems real familiar. We've been here before. We've covered maybe a Hildebrandt, maybe in the in the studio.
Yeah, but we had to upgrade. You know, we had to use his property, upgrade because he's getting a little old and washed up. So,
really?
Yeah. Eventually, we're gonna have to get Alex on here, the real driver.
Okay. So let me introduce tonight's guest is the Snake, Blake Naylor.
Oh Lord, that nickname.
Blake, there's a nickname, Snake. How about that? Man,
yeah.
Where did you get that? Let me start with that.
So, I was like 6 years old playing Pee Wee football, and I could run straight to the end zone.
Playing with your snake.
yeah, tripping and falling over it. Actually, you know, that's never been said in my life. But I would zigzag rather than run straight, and they would just call me Blake the Snake, I reckon. So
Blake the Snake. Okay,
yeah,
that's unique.
Yeah, it just doesn't pertain to other parts of life.
Okay. So you play sports through school.
Yep.
All right. Mostly what'd you play? All of them? Or?
Yeah, in high school, first couple years of high school, well, from 3 years old to about 14, I played football, baseball, basketball, wrestling, and then I ran track in high school too.
Okay.
So I did all the sports, and I started racing go-karts at 7.
Okay. And you did some cheerleading.
Yes, I did. In college, they needed somebody to hold the girls up and boost their egos, so they had me back there.
Is that true or not true?
That is actually kind of true.
Okay, so I was just making that up. I was just
during the Mid-South Conference game.
Shooting in the dark.
I mean, I had to do what I had to do. They paid us a little bit.
$20 is $20. Right?
Hey, we just had that conversation. $20 is $20.
Okay, so how do you go for? I mean, you keep yourself in decent shape.
Yeah.
I mean,
steroids help.
Okay, there's that. I mean, you're not like this or nothing, but we'll let that slide.
Yeah, one day I'll look like Mike Hildebrandt.
Maybe.
It's my goal.
Maybe.
Yeah.
If you're lucky.
Yeah, I don't think I have the genetics for it.
So, sports through school.
Yep.
What leads you to decide I want to get in a race car?
Well, when I was 7, my dad put me in a go-kart. We had a little dirt track in the backyard. He had a yard cart, and it was my brothers and I, and whoever ran the fastest lap got to race that weekend. Well, I'm the superior brother in this situation.
Okay.
They would probably claim to be the
you have 2 younger brothers.
I got an older brher and a younger.
Okay, so you're the middle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why I'm special, because I got neglected my whole life.
Okay.
No, but so that started happening, and I got more serious about racing. And then my dad and I would just travel everywhere racing go-kart in the back of the truck. And my whole life, there's a driver, his name's Randy Walsh. That's where my number came from.
91.
Yep.
Old Brown County days.
Yeah, Brown County days. So my dad worked on his car. Jerry Jewell sponsored my dad's street stock. And then Jerry put me in a Chevette. But Randy was kind of my hero growing up.
Did your dad race?
My dad raced street stock for 1 year.
Okay.
And we could bring out the tapes. Him going around the top of Brown County Speedway, flipping and doing a bow on top of the car. He was more wide open. So he was more into drag racing when he got into racing street stocks. He took his drag racing motor, I think, and I put it in the street stock. And
gotcha.
He finished second in points first year racing.
So he had great straightaway speed. Just didn't know how to turn.
And, well, he would turn, so he drove my late model one time when I first got my Rayburn back in like 2015, 2016. I had a swing arm Rayburn while we went and tested. And, well, he don't know how to lift.
Okay.
So it's wide open. If you can make a car to where it just goes wide open all the way around the track, he's going to beat everybody. So,
interesting.
But it's just getting it to that point.
Yeah. Okay.
But then he just found more enjoyment watching me race, and watching us play sports. So that's when I raced Chevettes, and with Jerry Jewell sponsor my car.
Jerry Jewell Chevette.
Yep. I drove a Chevette for him. He had Josh Jewell and I racing over at Brown County Speedway in Moeller. Then I'd come back and race periodically. My little brother raced street stocks when I was playing college ball. I'd come back and race Chevettes for people.
Okay. Ball. Where'd you go to high school?
Western Brown.
Very good.
Yeah.
And where'd you go to college?
Georgetown College in Kentucky.
Georgetown in Kentucky.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, back in the glory days. That's I loved football, but I always just wanted to race. It was kind of one of those things. My dream was drive dirt late model.
Yeah.
That's all.
Who wasn't? Who didn't?
Yeah.
You know.
An idiot.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
I think stupid people don't want to drive really late models, if you ask me.
They want to drive pavement cars or something. Yeah. No offense to pavement people, I'm just not my thing.
I'll take a little offense to them. You know.
So I played a lot of sports.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I didn't roid out or nothing.
Yeah.
Just I couldn't afford the roids.
Yeah. Well, I didn't roid out until I was 27, so we'll get.
I liked football. I wanted to be the best football player I could be.
Yeah.
But I was much better baseball.
Yeah. And see.
And I didn't try as well. I didn't try as hard
Yeah.
at baseball. It was just for some reason it was easier. But I didn't want to be baseball. I wanted to play football, and I just wanted to hit people. And
Yeah, I didn't want to hit anybody. I just wanted to outrun them.
yeah.
So my best sport was actually wrestling. Is what I was best at.
Oh, rolling around.
Baseball was probably my second best. Yeah, rolling around with guys. That's why me and friends. That's why me and Mike are friends. Because like.
Yeah. He likes wrestling too.
He does. There was times when I was living here that I'd wake up in the middle of the night, and he'd be out here working in the shop, and then he's just standing over my bed like, "You want to wrestle?" And I'm like, "Dude, it's 2:00 in the morning. Go back working on your semi."
Can work on your truck.
So.
That's funny.
But wrestling and baseball were my best sports.
Wrestling, baseball, and so you go racing.
Yep.
You go from Chevettes to late models?
Yep.
That's a big jump.
Yeah, I took a couple years off because of college. I had actually wrecked at Moeller. I flipped down the front stretch. Greg Holman, I was lapping. I was driving for Darrell Wise. I was driving.
Okay.
He had this Chevette that was just badass, and I'd always wanted to drive it my entire career. I was like, if I drive that thing, I'm going to win. Because I had driven a guy named Troy Stamper's car at the big Chevette race that Holman put on, and I set the track record in it.
Okay.
Because we finagled, acted like, because they had rules to where you had to race there 3 times. Well, they wouldn't let Troy race. Well, Troy called me. I was home from college. He's like, "Hey, you want to race?" So I could go with set fast time, and I should have won it, but me and Brandon Elam we come up with a plan. We both started on the front row, and we ended up dicking up, and I finished third. He finished fourth or something like that. Well, the next week I drive for Darrell. Greg Holman ends up, I'm lapping him in it, and he just catches my quarter, and I flipped down the front stretch. I had to get back surgery from it.
Ouch.
So I took a few years off of racing because my little brother drove. Got out of college, and Dan Hurt had a late model for sale. And
Dan Hurt, yeah.
I think it was Dan Hurt's that I bought. Yeah, it was an old swing arm Rayburn. It was
Black
an 08
number
Rayburn.
96.
Yeah. So I bought his swing arm Rayburn. My dad had a street stock motor we put in it. And you would have thought I was Scott Bloomquist in my own mind.
In your mind.
In my own mind. I was getting down with it.
Oh, that's awesome.
But I invested a lot in it, as much as I could at the time.
This wasn't because I remember Danny had a good Warrior car for a while too.
Yeah.
So this wasn't the Warrior car.
No, this was a swing arm Rayburn, which now know Mike Knuckles. I wish I would have got a Warrior because Mike and I are good friends, and he's a highly intelligent guy. And I'm like, dang, if I would have had a Warrior back then, and I know he was just starting to get in with Sanford, we had. So I bought the Rayburn and just kind of. I went to every show. Like, if there was the World of Outlaws, Lucas, I didn't care. I want to race with the best if I'm going to do anything. I was underfunded, underpowered, but at the time, like, I was spending every dime I had to drive a race car.
Sure.
Because my ex-wife, she was in dental school at Ohio State.
Okay.
I lived in Columbus. I would leave the house at the apartment at 4 a.m., get to Mount Orb, train my athletes at 6 till 8, work my day job till 5, train people from 5 to 9. I'd get home at 11. I did it for 5 years straight just to be able to drive a race car.
Just to be able to drive a race car.
Yeah, because race car drivers are stupid. Because we will do that.
I have been told that they love work and hate money.
Yeah, because we'd rather work and blow the money on race cars.
They blow the money on
Yeah, I tell people all the time that ask me this, like, I want to get in a race. I'm like, take $100,000 and set it on fire. If you're willing to do that, do it.
If you got it like that, let's get into racing.
Yeah. So, and it's unfortunately, racing is not a poor man's sport.
No, a little bit like gambling.
Yeah,
a lot.
Like, you're going to lose more times than you win, and like
Yes.
I talk to people about it. Like, you got to convert it to baseball in a sense of you're going to lose way more races than you're going to even finish in the top 5. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, as racers, and I would find myself in this situation where I'd get so pissed. I'm like, wait a second. No, I'd never get you. I mean, I'd never get mad.
Get mad?
No, ever. So, yeah, I think you've seen me get mad a couple times.
No.
Yeah, I remember when the Hildebrand we first took over Moeller, and he was supposed to be out hot lapping.
Yeah.
And his starter wasn't working.
Yeah.
John Whitney can recall the exact words that I said over that radio. He said, "Tell that mother 39 if his car ain't out on the track, you can load the fuck up and get the hell out." and that's my best friend.
It's go or don't go.
Yeah, but I didn't know that he was having starter issues. All I know is people's like 30. I'm like, where's Mike? And I'm like, I know Mike.
He's doing this on purpose. Because he's my friend.
Yeah, because he's my best friend. He's getting a little bit because the track was a little greasy, and the year before he'd put it in a wall because it was greasy. And I'm like, this mother, like I need him more than anything. And then they're like, he's out of his car. And I'm like, tell that mother to load it up. And then it's like, Mike, I see the text. He's like, my starter's out. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, then I let him hot lap at the end, and people got pissed. I'm like, it's only if you have a mechanical issue. Mm-hmm. I understand like a big show.
So you would have let anybody hot lap
it didn't matter who it was. Yeah, because to make sure your car's shaken down, because I've been in that situation.
Sure.
To where it's like, I would rather him, because we had just started qualifying, I would rather him get at least one lap, a hot lap, and make sure everything's good with his car, instead of sending somebody that works all week to pay for it out to junk it, because I'm more worried about time.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, screw that. Like, he pays to get in. I can take the time to make sure, because if he junks his race car, I lose him for 6-7 weeks.
Sure.
Not only do I lose that, his race car and him, I lose his pit passes from his family, his friends that show up in the stands. Yeah, then he'll probably beat me up.
He probably would. He probably would have beat you up. So it's a good thing you didn't.
And it's just a business decision that I had to make at the time. And like other drivers, it didn't matter who it was. I think I'd done it with Casey Burdett. Did it one time.
I remember a particular time. Now we're talking. This was a few years. You and Robert Sterrett.
Yeah.
I don't know the particulars. Whatever. You guys were running. You guys rented. You guys.
Leased Muller. Yeah,
you guys leased Muller. You took over the lease.
Robert was the financial of it. Robert, we had made the agreement to do 50-50. And that, like, I look back and, like, that is the best time of my life, was when we all ran Muller.
Okay.
Biggest regret, best time of my life in the same time.
Okay.
And I was thinking about that today when we talked about doing this. It was, so Robert, we did 50-50, and I had just met Robert.
Yeah.
And
you guys had just met at Atomic.
And I had helped him. He had parked next to me because there was one thing like I tried to do with people in the racing that like Turbo. Turbo's my favorite race car driver because I had nothing.
Bad judge of character.
I know, right? Right. And that dude was supposed to be hot lap, and my car's not running, and he's taking parts off of his car so I could go on hot lap.
Robert is.
No, Turbo. So he was helping the poor guy.
He's taking parts off his
car to help me.
To put on
and he told me, he said, whatever you got to do, make sure that you help somebody else out in this situation. Okay. Him and Devin Moran were working on my car, and they're supposed to be lined up for Lucas Oil hot laps. And they're like Turbo, Devin brought a fuel pump or fuel pressure gauge and stuff because my shit wasn't working.
Right.
Because I just threw everything together. Well, a couple weeks later, I see Robert, he's got this rocket, and Steve Casebolt had helped me. And I'm like, you know what? Like, this is my time to help somebody out.
Right.
You could tell it was his first time.
Yeah.
So I meet him, help him. Well, then the next week, I went through his entire car because I was trying to get into that business where, like, I would help people out with things that I got.
So you wasn't still in the Rayburn at this time?
No, I was in a Rocket at the time.
Okay, the Rayburn's only gone. You're up in a Rocket now.
Yeah, I was in a 2010 Rocket at the time, and it was like a Frankenstein. My dad's a fabricator, so I would come up with ideas and cut and move. And we had other guys like Randy Roquette and a guy named Wayne Roberts, who used to be on Bloomquist crew. He built the body on Bloomquist's silver car.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so Wayne Roberts was big in Bloomquist. Well, we had paid him for a little while to come work on, which at the time, if we had Wayne now and I was still racing and I could afford to pay him for how good he was, like, who knows how much better I would have been. But so Robert and I helped him. Then I went and tested with him at Atomic. Well, him, Brad McCown, and I made a deal in the truck. I didn't call and ask questions. I was married at the time.
Wait a minute.
She finds out on Facebook that we had worded it that we were I was going to be the marketing manager because there was issues with the lease that we had to work out, and I was going to come on because I was going to help run the Ike. So
the Ike.
That was my very first show as promoter.
Okay,
was the Ike.
Yeah.
And
I remember that night.
So Brad was supposed to run it, and then it just everything wasn't working out, and to where I stayed up the whole night before because in my mind I was like, I'm going to run this show the way it needs to be ran. I had made exactly how everything was operate, and when I showed up and nobody was there to run it, I'm like, this is it. I had prepared for this because like that's where like success happens when preparation meets opportunity. And it was one of the best nights. It was phenomenal. I think you might have been in you were helping.
I was still
you and
tech.
I had met.
I was tech.
you and I had met, and we hadn't come up with you being a race director yet.
No. I was still doing tech at the time at Moeller, and I was texting a little bit with you that day about things for that night.
Yeah.
I
do remember that.
I think maybe even texting a little bit with Brad possibly.
Yeah.
I feel like. And so I was just kind of like, maybe a little bit in the middle.
Yeah.
Like, man, I don't know what's
Because
going on.
I had no idea what was going on. I was working,
Yeah.
and I show up, and they're like, Brad's not here. And I was like, perfect. This is what I want. Because I got too much of an ego and pride of when it comes to things like, I feel like I've done enough research, and like the whole night before, I mean, I stayed up all night making sure that I had exactly what I wanted it to do.
Right.
So when I get there, and I'm like, this is exactly what we're going to do. And I flipped everybody upside down when I said Delaware double file restarts. We're qualifying late models. We're doing this and that, and everybody's like, "What in the world?" Like, this is how it's going to go, and we're going to make it work.
Right.
And then I made sure that we had 15 pack trucks between every time cars hit the track. We'd run that.
There was a lot of pack trucks. I do remember when you and Robert were there. There was a lot of.
We
pack
had over
trucks.
$1 million on the track at one time. Wow. Packing the truck.
Including Robert's wife's Escalade.
Her Escalade with the bumper falling off. I had my my 2500 Denali on it.
Yeah.
My ex-wife, she had texted me. She wasn't at the racetrack the first night, and she was watching it live. She was somewhere.
John Sandlin's.
Yeah, she was watching John Sandlin. Which John Sandlin was one of the biggest helpers in our success at Moeller. He's the reason why that last night we ran it, we had 164 cars in 4 classes.
Okay.
Like, I will argue this to any promoter, anybody in the world, about videoing and having John Sandlin on the track.
Was that the wedding race?
Was that the wedding race?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
I don't think it was. It was
it
was championship night. It was the night we had got rained out.
Then it was not. No, it was not the wedding race, because the wedding race was perfect weather. I want to say that might have been. I'm sure Robert could tell us, because the wedding. They know the date. I can't think of the date off the top of my head, but there was a lot of cars there.
Yeah. The last night that we ran it, we had 164 cars in 4 classes because Dirt on Dirt was there, and Ben Shelton had tweeted about it, and John Sandlin played a huge role in that. You played a huge role in it. Robert played a huge role in it.
Yeah.
Mike Norman probably played the biggest role that people don't realize. Like, our success as our team that we had at Moeller, and we're going to we'll go a little deep.
Why not?
If I wouldn't have been so egotistical, that racetrack would be in line with Fairbury today, with all of us together. Whoa. If I would have been able to I would argue that because I know what we were doing and where we were going.
Fairbury's pretty established.
But when I say in line with Fairbury, I mean with the amount of fans and cars that we're getting.
Okay.
Fairbury has that nostalgia. That for a quarter-mile track, that's the peak. So if I'm going to do anything, I want to meet it. And I felt with our team, because of what we did, we had the opportunity to be able to bring a race like that to Mount Orb with the property and stuff.
Yeah.
Not saying that we would be Fairbury by any means.
Sure.
But
okay.
when I say, like, we would have had the grounds, the cars, the atmosphere that Fairbury, because what a lot of what people don't realize is racing is all FOMO. It's all smoke and mirrors. You know why Fairbury's so good? Because you feel like you got to be there. Because you don't want to miss it. You know why World 100 is so good? Because you got to be there. You don't want to miss it.
Oh.
Like, but on a regular night, you at a local track, you got to make people feel like they're missing something. That's why we had like Steve Alcorn taking these pictures. Michael Boggs coming taking pictures. John Sandlin going live. You can go back and look at John Sandlin's lives on some of our races. 5, 6, 7,000 viewers. People in their comments saying, I want to come to this track. And that's on a regular show.
Right.
Anybody that don't have John Sandlin at the racetrack is stupid. You know why? Because if you have a bad product, you don't want him there.
Okay.
But I trusted our product. You want everybody to see it because then they think they want to come see it in person. Because it's all marketing, and people, and I'm included in this, we're stupid. We think we want to be there, and then we're like, well, this is just like every other racetrack. But that's how you get attention to yourself, but you can't water it down to where you got to bring something new every week.
Right.
And you better be able to bring the product to back it up. Because I see a lot of tracks. There's tracks that I will never go to because
of what you see.
It's boring. It's not racing surface.
Yeah.
Josh King and I have different views on it.
Okay.
Josh King, I respect him just as much as anybody. I see him in concert, loved him to death. I took advice from him when we took over Moeller. We see the video footage differently, but he has perfected Florence for the big race.
Yep.
I could never do that because he has established himself as that.
Right.
So, like, I don't go to Florence during the week on a regular show because I find it boring. But you know what I ain't missing?
You're not missing the big shows.
I ain't missing the last 20 laps of the North-South because you ain't going to find 20 laps better in the world.
Anywhere.
The first 80 laps are going to be you're seeing who's moving and shaking because Josh King has perfected that.
Okay.
That is where his bread and butter is, and he is the king of that. You can't argue it.
Yeah.
So if I were to have a big race, I'm going to somebody like Josh King and like, how do I perfect this?
Sure.
But on a local show, like it's not any lie that he doesn't make money on a local show. He might, but it's hard for him to make money on a local show in Florence.
Sure.
But where he's
prices on everything is hard. It's hard to make money on anything these days.
It really is. And where he's so good on that North-South Saturday, you don't want to miss it.
Right.
Because those last 20 laps, you're not going to see better racing in the country.
So you seem like you really enjoyed running a racetrack.
I'd give up everything in my life to run a racetrack again.
Did you enjoy that more than actual racing?
1,000%.
Really?
1,000%. Because who I am, where I study everything, like when we ran Moeller, there's a lot of stuff people don't realize that I was doing behind the scenes. Like Joey Moeller did track prep.
Yeah.
But Hildebrand and I was over there on Wednesday night at midnight with John Whitney, Brandon Weber, racing our trucks around the track to run it in. I'm talking at midnight, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. You know what I'd do on Thursday night when everybody's asleep? I'd go put Tide in the water truck to help hold the track together.
Get a little soap in the water truck.
Because it had worked for years, but all of a sudden everybody quit doing it. And they wonder why. Like, you can look at the pictures. DJ Stikelether's got it. Our track was butter smooth to a cushion. Joey Moeller would do his thing. When everybody was sleeping, I would do mine based on the research that I did. But we had a good team and an understanding.
Right.
But running a racetrack, I'd give up. I'd do anything just run a racetrack.
Really?
Because.
Which would you rather do? Work at a racetrack, promote a whatever.
Racetrack. There's no question.
Or get back in a race car.
Promote a racetrack.
Really?
1,000%.
Well,
I like the moving pieces. I like when it's crunch time and there's got to be one person that can get everybody to do their job.
It's you.
I can get everybody to do their job. It's not, but I don't want the record. I want like you were race director. I could step away and get bitch stepped by compact wives while you're running the race.
Or not even show up.
I would get there late. So
yeah.
And but it's just like one of those things that when you have good people around you, it makes it easy.
Absolutely.
So like that's what I tell people when we ran Moeller. Like I hear people say like, "Well, you ran Moeller." Or Chris Shannon will make the joke like Blake Baltus. I'm like, dude, like I didn't.
Blake Baltus.
I'm like, I didn't do shit, but navigate everything. Navigate and figure out how that track operated the best.
And who needed to be doing
and
what.
Who needed to be doing what, and just let them do their job. If I would have been better at letting people do their job, who knows where that track would have been. That's where I say the regret. Like, because if I would have just let Mike Norman handle the schedule instead of me being, I'm late models.
Yeah.
Well, now I've driven a sprint car. I'm like, shit, I like these things. Like,
well, why not have some sprint cars?
Yeah, because he wanted to have more sprint races. I was like, no, but in retrospect, like looking back, he was correct.
So, since we're talking about Moeller, which class of cars do you think puts on a better show there?
At Moeller Raceway?
Yeah.
The best show when we were operating it or no?
Whatever.
The best show, if you want to watch racing, just purely watch racing, go watch Compacts.
Compacts?
Go watch Compacts.
Really?
Because those dudes are racing a race.
Yeah.
That's all they're spending their last $20, $30, $40. Not saying that late model, modified, and sport mod guys aren't.
Some of those late model guys spend their last $20.
Yeah, they do. But those compact dudes, like you can watch them. They're 4, 5, 6, 7 cars wide. Legends. They race for nothing.
Yeah.
And I remember
they're giving it everything.
And I remember sitting in the infield watching Legends. I'm like, these dudes are getting down with it.
Yeah. I've seen some really, really good D2 midget shows there.
Yeah. So.
What was it, a year or two ago, there was a kid there, I think he was young, a teenager, and only been in a car 4 times, and I don't think he started on the front row. He worked his way and won the race, and it was only like, I want to say it was like his second time in the car. He looked like a seasoned veteran.
Moeller produces really good racing when the racetrack's right.
Yeah.
When a racetrack is wide. When the race, so that was the one thing me and Joey would butt heads about. I would show up and he'd already prepped the track, and he's got those damn tires 20 feet out, and I'd be like, no, because how Moeller is, you got to set the car. A late model is going to be pitched at what, 70 some degrees at its max. It's typically going to be 70 some degrees. It's 20 feet long. Mm-hmm. Well, 2 cars at 70 some degrees, you've only got so much racing room. Right. You have no bottom.
Right.
So what we would do is we'd move the tires in, make a little berm to where we'd have a bottom and a top, and that's why you can look at pictures and videos, and there's 3 wide racing all over the track, and it would never rubber up.
Yeah.
It would start a little rough and choppy, but that's why we had all the pack trucks. I'd have all my buddies with their trucks and be like,
everybody's got a truck, come on out.
Yeah, I would tell buddies like, hey, if you pack the truck in, but when I tell you to pull on the track, you pull on the track. If I tell you get off, get off.
Get off.
But that was part of the success, is keeping that track packed in and moving that cushion up instead of like the cushion halfway down. And I know a lot of people don't have, but that's where we had the outreach to where I could call people. Mm-hmm. Hell, the one night we had over $1 million of pack trucks on the track. Fans were coming up to me.
I don't know how many racetracks, how many promoters can say they've had that much money in pack trucks on the racetrack at one time.
The video's still there. Brandon Weber still got it. and him, and I think maybe John Whitney and Turbo even said it. Turbo talks about it this day. We had $1 million of
Turbo.
Yeah, because it was, and my mindset was nobody's going to outwork us. Because there's been times where I've been at a racetrack, and it's like they just didn't want to, promoter didn't want to work. Uh-huh. Because promoters, a lot of times, this is where promoters fail, and there's going to be people get pissed about this. They'd rather just sit in the booth and just be like, no, get your ass to work, dude.
Right.
Like, you can get this track ready. Like, one time, me and Robert, we had that Sunday race. Dude, for 19 hours, we're on razors running this track in. Robert and I. For 19 hours just to race on a Sunday and lose our ass.
How many fuel stops did you have to make to do that?
I don't know. Robert kept going and getting fuel. My brother Brandon and I were out there at 4, 5 o'clock in the morning digging a trench with shovels. Robert brought a pump. Uh-huh. Robert was the best partner you could ever have running a racetrack because he's just like, do what you need, and he would provide whatever.
Right.
But where I was going through stuff in my personal life, I let it affect the racetrack to where, and then I was too busy about trying to own the gym. When now I'm established enough, now I look back, I'm like, shit. We could. Because, Brush Creek just went up for sale.
Ooh.
And I'm just going to mention that.
It did.
It did.
I know another racetrack that's up for sale.
What one?
Mud Lick.
That's a little too far. I love Mud Lick.
It's a little too far.
But it's too far for where I feel like I study racing and how I can get drivers and where the most success would be. Mud Lick would be hard to have a successful racetrack to the level that I want to. You could race on a local level and do well.
Right.
But there's not enough racers within a certain amount of distance to get there.
So Blake Naylor could be actively looking to see what he can do.
I have acquaintances that are looking for racetracks.
Really? Is this breaking news?
Yeah, well, there was a post about it.
I didn't know.
There was a post about it, and I tagged one of my best friends that he owns a nonprofit, and it could be BWOPS. It's BWOPS. If you go to bwopsfoundation.org, okay, we help kids that are bullied and underprivileged and stuff like that. We do a lot of things with those guys, and he wants a BWOPS racetrack, and it's right there in Peebles in Adams County, and he just got accepted for a few other things with the MRDD to where the state helps fund it, and then
really
there could be
so this could be a possibility.
It's a lofty dream.
Is it an idea or is it an idea in motion?
There's a lot of things that have to happen.
There's a lot of logistics.
There's a lot of things that has to happen, and then the funding to make it happen. But he wants a BWOPS racetrack. I want to be a promoter again, and it's like not even I want to be a promoter. I enjoy it. That is like now that I've stepped away, got off Adderall and everything else. Like I can.
Now that you're calm again.
Yeah, now that I'm calm, and I don't have 9,000 things going on, I can really step away because I know that there could be a team built to operate that place, and there's a lot of money to be made, and there's good racing that could be had on a Friday night at Brush Creek.
Friday night. Interesting.
Why would I race against Atomic in Portsmouth?
That'd be suicide.
Yeah. Why do you think Brush Creek doesn't have success? So,
Friday night would be your only option.
That's my only option.
Yeah, there's not a lot of successful tracks that run on Sundays.
No.
So.
No, and where I'm in church and stuff, I'm not going to race on Sundays.
Okay.
But I would, like, if say it were to happen, I don't want to put Larry out of business. I like Larry. Larry's great for the sport. Mm-hmm. He's been great for the sport. I would like, there'd have to be some kind of communication where it's not.
Right.
You know, because there's enough racers out there and there's enough money to go around.
Do you think a bi-weekly schedule would work?
With the right cars, yes. But I would call Mike Norman and be like, hey, can you make this schedule? Because Mike understands the logistics of all that.
Right.
I understand racers, and I understand
Racers' mentality.
And marketing to fans.
Okay.
I understand how stupid racers are and how stupid fans are because I'm a stupid racer and I'm a stupid fan.
You know, there are times that I still take a particular race weekend off, and I take my camper and I park it in the field with about 30,000 other campers and do the exact same thing. And I drink my beverages and go and watch the race because I love it.
Yeah, and you got to have that outlet. Like once it's in you can't get it out. I can't. It's hard for me to go to a racetrack, and friends don't go with me anymore because I got to work on a car. I go work. The only time I really go to races anymore is if Turbo's racing or Mike's racing.
Okay.
Because I want to work on their car. Because both have done so much to me, that's my only way it's my only way to give them back.
Okay.
You know, when I got another car, Tyler went above and beyond to make sure I had parts and everything that I needed.
Yeah.
People don't see that side of Tyler.
Right.
They just want to talk shit about him, and here lately I've seen people talking bad about when he like runs bad and stuff like that, and I'm like, and this is what pisses me off.
But what about when he runs good?
Exactly. They don't want to talk about that. But also these guys, like I see a few people that's like, say he's a farmer, and they want to talk shit about Tyler driving. Like, wait a minute, are you in the top 30 of what you do? If you're not, shut up. You know, like you can if what you do is a profession, because that's his profession. If you are not in the top 30 of what you do or top 100.
It's hard to dog somebody else who's not.
Take Josh Rice. People dog him all the time. I used to dog him. I love Joshy. But I would dog him because I'm like, if he ain't got a cushion, he ain't going to win. But he's grown so much as a driver. Like, he's one of the best drivers.
I've seen him win without a cushion.
And I would say that because he would whip my ass. It was more of an ego thing.
Yeah.
But, like, you can't talk bad about somebody like Josh Rice.
If you're not better.
If you're not in the top 100 of your profession in the country.
Yeah.
He's in the top 100 driver. He's a top 100 driver in the country, and people still talk crap on Facebook. I'm like, dude.
You have lovers and haters.
Yeah, and it's like, whether you're it just, people need humbled in a sense of, like, these guys, like, this is what they do, and Josh, he works a day job and is probably pretty damn good at it.
I would say.
You know, he's not, Josh isn't somebody that's, but I'm just using him as an example. Like, people will talk crap about that, and it's like, wait a minute.
Oh, they probably hate me.
Yeah, dude. Like, I'll get on Facebook and I talk shit about Hildebrand all the time, and I'm like, wait a minute, he's better at what he does than I am, but I'm still going to talk shit.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm good at what I do or not, but I still try.
Yeah, and that's the thing is I hate when people get on Facebook and like talk about Tyler, because I'm like, do y'all know what he does for people? What he did for me? Like,
I got to spend a little bit of time with Turbo this summer.
Uncle T. Him and I have good talks. He's become one of my best friends as a person. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm a little biased towards him. But like,
so you're not just a Turbo fan.
No, I'm a friend.
You're a Turbo friend.
Yeah, like dude, I can show you every time he wins, I send him the same meme. I'm waiting for him to bring it up in Victory Lane because he's starting to piss me off because every time he wins a race, every morning he wakes up. I'm talking because I get up 4:30 or 5. He gets the same meme every time he wins.
Okay.
And like our entire conversation is literally me. It's one meme, and he says, "I love you." It's that. Hold on, that same meme. It says, "You're my goddamn hero," off the movie Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3. So I sent that to him, and his response is the same. I love you.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
So it's like Tyler's more of a friend, but I see any drivers that people talk crap about, and I'm like, if you aren't that good at your job, like
people be talking crap about you too.
Oh, I love it though.
I'm not just saying, I'm not saying you though, but I mean anybody else.
Yeah.
Whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
People are gonna talk crap.
But I get a little agitated here lately because it's like, man, like these guys like are putting.
Is there meds for that?
I don't take meds. I just change my diet, you know.
Yeah. How's that going? How's the diet going?
It's better. I switched to a blood
I need
type
to work
diet.
on mine a little
Dude,
bit.
I switched to a blood type diet. I found my blood type and realized a lot of stuff that I was eating is not good for me. Like white rice and brown rice, my body cannot digest it.
Really?
Based on the digestive enzymes, so I have to eat.
So I've got to ask some health questions because
Yeah.
obviously I feel like you're a pretty healthy guy.
I try to be.
Try to be. And I know I've called you before and says, hey, Blake, man, I'm getting the typical dad bod.
Yeah.
I've got to work on this.
And you're old.
I'm getting old.
Yeah.
I mean, this wisdom isn't
Yeah.
chrome for no reason.
Yeah.
It's not because I'm still in my 20s.
Yeah.
My mind might think so, but my body
We all do. Like Hildebrand,
Hell
that
no.
dude thinks he's 18, but he's just dumb.
Well, I mean, I think that's a normal
Yeah.
thing for a guy to feel like a teenager in his mind.
Yeah, but I tell people all the time, Mike don't get enough credit. I lived here for almost 2 years. I've never seen somebody be at this shop and get more done with his job than him.
Yeah.
Like he would be building a race car, building a semi, and close 5 deals, and I'm like, I just changed 3
Do
light
you
switches.
sleep?
I changed 3 light switches today. And
And I'm wore out.
Like, hey, thanks for the sign, Mike. But it's like,
Is that true?
yeah, it could be. Well, it depends who you ask. You
20
ask my
bucks is 20 bucks.
If you ask my ex-wife, my ex-girlfriend, whatever one, it's like,
Okay. So there's rumors.
there's a lot of rumors. And I mean, 20 bucks is 20 bucks, you know.
Gotcha.
But the health thing, what was your question?
Carnivore diet.
Great for you.
It's great for you.
Yeah, based on your blood type. What blood type are you? Do you know?
Red?
I'm O. So I'm blood type. I'm O positive.
I'm curious as how many people actually know their blood type, or am I just dumb?
Dude, I've talked to like 10 people this week.
They
about
all know it?
No, they don't.
all
No,
know their blood
no
type.
one does.
Okay.
I had to call my mom. I was like, "Hey, Mom, what's my blood type?" She's like, "Well, you're either O positive or O negative. Your brother Brandon's the other one." I was like, "Well, I'm just going with positive."
Okay. So I have this question. You know your blood type. Do you know the 3 branches of government?
Let's go, Brandon.
Okay. Just making sure.
Yeah. No, because at the end of the day, that shit don't matter. They're
Okay.
going to do whatever
Just-
the hell they want.
Just curious.
Yeah. We don't
Some
need to-
people just know stuff.
I know it's executive, judicial, and something
Legislative.
legislative. I didn't really pay attention in school.
No.
Like, I was there to play football. Like, that was it. Like, it was. I think I signed more autographs on my papers than I did right answers.
Really?
Because I always just wanted to sign autographs for having a race car my whole life.
You wanted to be Scott Blomqvist.
Yeah, I thought I was.
All right, let's talk a little bit about, we're checking our time here.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about Blake away from the racetrack.
Yeah.
Outside of the race car, away from the racetrack, not running a racetrack or anything to do with racing.
Yeah.
If there was no such thing as racing, what's your go-to? What's your biggest, what other hobbies do you have? Other than weightlifting and
That's
reading
not even
books.
a hobby. That like keeps me from killing people. That's what I tell people all the time. Like the weightlifting is just more of an outlet of just like keeping my head clear.
Okay.
Just from football concussions and stuff like that. Like
Concussions.
yeah, I've had
More than one.
Yeah, I probably had 20 concussions playing football, and then when I hit the tree, that kind of
This explains a lot.
yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Okay, tell me about hitting the tree.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean,
Mike
hold on.
pulled me out.
Before we get to hitting the tree, we're still talking about Blake away from the racetrack.
Yeah, let's do that.
Then we'll get back to
Yeah,
the
then we'll do
tree.
the tree.
Because I'm pretty sure I know some of that story, and it
Yeah.
has to do with a race car.
Yeah.
We don't want to talk about that yet.
Yeah. Blake away from the racetrack. I'm big into church. I'm big spiritual. So like I like doing Bible studies and stuff like that. I do TikToks. I like making videos.
Okay.
People will see them and they're like, "Oh, that's just for you." I'm like, "No, I actually enjoy making them. Like I make them for friends."
Right.
Shit like
They're
that.
not just for gay people.
No, they're not. They're a little bit of attention because I mean I am ego driven, but outside of church and that, like I love doing electric. That's what I do for a living.
Okay, you're an electrician.
Yep.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
What do you do for a living? You're an electrician.
Yeah, I have my own company. That dude, after the divorce, I had nothing, and I had a friend that was like, we just got out with the racetrack. I just got out of the gym scene, and I was like, what the hell am I going to do? And a friend called me and he's like, hey, you want to help me pull wire tomorrow? And I was like, well, I ain't got nothing else to do. I had enough money saved up that I could kind of just float around. But
For a minute, yeah.
yeah. And I was like, yeah. Well, then I get there, and he had me change a panel.
Okay.
And he was like, hey, change that panel. He had to go do something else. I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I spent 12 hours on YouTube figuring out how to change people's panel.
YouTube University.
Yeah, 1,000%. And I absolutely fell in love with it. I'm talking like that entire night. I didn't sleep that whole night because I was looking up
what can I do next?
What wire goes to what gate? What wire goes to what breaker and everything like that? Because I'm like, I love doing the panels. And then I worked for him for a few years, and he got to the point where he was like, dude, you need to start branching out on your own, because I was getting better at it. And I was obsessed with it. And like I wake up every day and I always thought I want to own a gym. Always thought I wanted to drive race cars. No, I want to do electric.
Okay, so do you like electrical stuff more than you like racing?
Driving a race car? Absolutely. I'd rather
driving a race car, not promoting
a racetrack. If I could do anything in my life and do it for free and live in a box, I would promote a racetrack. Like 1,000%. I don't care about the money of doing it. It's because I enjoy it that much.
Okay.
And it's not so much about doing it. It's the people, the friends.
The racing
community.
family.
Yeah, so and that was one thing that I was so proud of what we had at Moeller. Because I remember when it was raining, we'd look out and everybody was at each other's trailers again.
Yeah.
Everybody was hanging out. We'd created this environment. And I say we, you were included. We created this environment that everybody wanted to be at the racetrack again.
Yeah.
And
there was buzz.
Yeah,
there was constantly buzz.
And it starts because we all cared about each other. Mm-hmm. And we had people that cared about us. So a lot of the people that my mom worked in the concession. All the ladies that did our Pee Wee football concession was working in the concession. Scott was running this. My buddy Logan was doing that. Big Stu was running around. You're running the track. Robert and Joey's just going nuts trying to figure out what the hell Blake's doing. And then
probably still trying to figure that out.
Which Robert and I, we talk weekly now. But and then even Mariah, Mike's wife, she was a dentist and working for free in the concession.
Huh.
We had people that cared about us.
Yeah.
That's why I want to promote a racetrack, because that is what racing is missing. But we need to get back on top, because I can talk about racing all the time.
So since we're back to racing, we got to talk about the tree.
Yeah.
Tell me about this tree.
So I don't really remember it. The night before, I had the XR1, and I traded it for a modified. I blew my motor up down at East Bay, and it was one of those. Mariah looked at me and she said, "We're not spending that money to fix that motor."
You're right.
And normally I'd have been like, "I do what I want," but this time she was right.
She was right. She made some sense.
Yeah, and she always made way more sense than I did, but she just put up with my shenanigans regardless. So I go and get this modified the night before. Drive to Findlay. Do you remember where I went to get it, Mike? Findlay or Toledo, somewhere. Toledo.
You made a drive to go get it. What kind of modified was it?
It was an Outlaw by Two Brothers.
Okay.
A guy drove down from Canada and brought it to me.
Really?
So I traded him straight up for race ready modified for the XR1. And
with a blowed motor?
No, my XR1, I'd already got rid of the.
Okay, so you got.
I sent the motor back to Bill from Pro Power. We was going to have it fixed, and the bill was just too much. Which Bill took care of me. If I ever drive a race car again, Bill's doing my motors. Bill was the best motor builder to me that I could ever ask for. But we get this race car back, and I planned on racing Atomic that Saturday because Stricker was winning. And obviously
he was doing Stricker things.
Yeah, and it's I want a piece of that.
Okay.
He was a friend, and I want a piece. So I'm racing.
Wasn't he in a Two Brothers car?
No, he was in his Elite at that time.
Okay, but he did drive a Two Brothers,
or
did he drive for Two?
I don't know. I know Carrier drove for Two Brothers at one time.
I feel like Adam did. For some reason, I could be wrong, but I felt like
I don't know who'd put him in their race car, but I wouldn't.
I know. I think Josh Rice did too.
Yeah, Josh Rice raced for Two Brothers.
Okay.
Oh, is that the wrecked race car?
Just the wrecked race car.
Yeah. So we go get it. I'm dead set on getting it, and go through this race car.
Nice, very nice.
Check everything. So Friday night comes, Muller rains out. Mike's brother comes over.
You are going to see this picture, by the way.
I don't remember much. I remember them getting there. We ordered Giovanni's. Mariah had left to go get Giovanni's, and I decided I was going to take it up the road. Because I've taken every car up the road. I've taken every go-kart up the road 1,000 times. And honestly, when I say I do it, I do not drive stupid.
Okay.
Because they're not made for that.
Right.
And I've got videos on my old racing page where you see I take it up the road, and I do the same thing every single time, make sure it shifts.
I'm sure you're not the only racer to ever take a car
And so
down a back road.
When I got into high gear, this is how I think it happened. When I say I don't remember a thing, I do not remember a thing. Mike probably knows better. He said the car like hopped up, and it just started going to the left, and I was in the ditch. He's like, "What are you doing?" And I went straight into a tree.
Really?
And then all of a sudden, I was screaming Mike. I was just screaming Mike's name.
Okay.
And he gets up there, and I got gash on my head, and I told him the steering wheel come off. So when I got into high gear, the steering wheel popped off. Mike pulls me out of the car. I'm 260 pounds at the time.
Yeah.
Pulls me out of the car and carries me like a fucking baby to this rock.
That you are, yeah.
Yeah. And sets me on this rock. And I literally don't remember.
And that's about what you remember.
No, I don't even remember that.
You don't remember? Oh,
This
that's
is
just what
everything
you've been
everybody's
told.
told me.
Oh,
and
okay.
then I remember being in the ambulance driving, because I didn't have health insurance.
Yeah.
I had zero health insurance.
If that chair breaks,
Yeah.
you're going to have another stitch or two. Man.
Yeah. So they were going to life flight me. And Mike was like, he can't afford it. Hey, and he don't have the health insurance.
I can throw
Mike
him in
was
my pickup truck.
So the guys on the ambulance, my dad grew up coaching. They grew up with my dad coaching them. And they was like, "Do you trust us?" And I remember saying, "Yeah," and then them telling me to shut the fuck up. Is all I remember. But I remember being in the ambulance and Mariah, I'm like, "What happened?" She's like, "Blake, it's not good." And I'm like, "What happened?" She's like, "You wrecked your race car." And I was like, "My XR1." And
Did I win?
No, she's like, "No, you didn't wreck the XR1. You traded it." And she said my exact words were like, "Don't tell me I traded it for a fucking modified."
Dude, you got to warn somebody. When I'm taking a drink and you say something like that.
And then I can remember being in the hospital bed and in this tiny room and seeing like the ceiling tiles, because it was during COVID. And I had a concussion. I mean,
Another.
Yeah, another one. I had to get 20 staples in the top of my head, and they had to numb it. And I can remember holding on to the arms because I wasn't going to cry. And I broke the arms off the hospital bed because I was like it hurt so bad because they had to stick the needle in to numb it.
You puss.
I know. And I just remember breaking them and then looking around and what happened? And then I remember waking up. I remember walking around naked at 4 o'clock in the morning because I got hot and they had me on morphine and it would make me hot. So I didn't like morphine apparently because it made me puke and make me hot. And I remember walking around UC Health naked, I felt like I was Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, you know? I'm on fire.
I'm on fire. Thank you, Tom Cruise. But that all happened because steering wheel came off.
Steering wheel comes off, going down the road.
And so I had to be running 40, 45 and
Okay.
getting in high gear.
Ouch.
Moved the frame 4 inches back. There's pictures. There's blood all over it. And I was in neck brace for 10 weeks. The day after I got out of neck brace, I drove the 411 and I drove a modified and I raced. Because the deal was...
You had how many stitches?
20 in the top of my head, 10 above my eye, and then I fractured my C6, C7 in my neck. They're now 3 millimeters away. So the doctor told me, he said, "You're 3 millimeters away from death is what you were."
Huh.
He said if you weren't... Because as soon as I got there,
Okay.
I can tell you how small it is.
Yeah. I don't need a measuring device.
Yeah, but he said if I wasn't taking what I was taking at the time, which was steroids, because my bone density and my neck being the size it was, he's like, you would have been dead.
Yeah. I feel like guys' size and hard wrecks, if there's some guys that just wasn't built for it, they wouldn't have lived.
Yeah, and if I wouldn't have been in that...
If you wouldn't have been the physique that you were in, that'd have been...
So if it would have happened a year prior, I had slowed down on my lifting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because I was really worried about business and things like that. I probably would have died.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't working out as much. I wasn't on steroids.
I think, if I remember serves me right, I believe Dave McWilliams.
Yeah, when he flipped.
He flipped one down at Portsmouth.
And his head was outside the roll cage.
Yes. Dave is not a little guy.
No, Dave's a big guy.
He's a big old boy.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I'd have been a normal size guy, I kind of feel like I'm normal size.
You're a normal human.
Normal human being with a dead, I probably would have been severely hurt or vegetable-like.
Yeah, and that's and the doctor told me that. And
Jackie Boggs.
Jackie Boggs.
Same way.
Yeah.
He did
Josh McGuire when Josh McGuire flipped. I was there that night too. I was there when Dave McWilliams flipped. I was driving a street stock.
So if I ever get back in a race car, you are not going to be there.
No, don't have me at the racetrack because I'm telling you, I was driving a street stock. The first time I'd ever been to 201 is Josh McGuire flipped. I was there when Dave McWilliams flipped, driving a street stock.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Flipper.
Yeah.
So we can call you Flipper, not
Snake. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like nicknames.
Yeah.
I don't like nicknames. I got some good ones. I got some bad ones.
Some can be accurate, some not so accurate.
Yeah, most of them's accurate though.
No, but,
you know,
truth hurts, right?
Yeah, sometimes you got to lay in that bed.
Okay, you do.
But the whole breaking the neck thing, that was an experience. I still don't remember a lot of it.
Right.
And I always thought that was bullshit because I had concussions.
Yeah.
But then, like, I remember college games when there was one game, I had 3 touchdowns in the first half. No, I didn't have any touchdowns in the first half. I had 3 touchdowns in the second half, and I don't remember any of them because I got hit in the first half.
Yeah.
And the words were the same that you had to tell the trainer. Book, candle, dog. You tell the trainer, book, candle, dog, when they ask you to repeat the 3 words that they told you, and they were the same.
And that's it.
And and you're good to go.
Huh. Interesting.
So, and then I think that wreck, it slowed me down a little bit.
Right. I feel like I remember there was another racer from this area, a starter came off a guy's car, came up and glanced off his helmet.
Really?
He spun out. I'll tell you who it is. The guy spins out, caution comes out, takes a tail, comes back. I don't know where he finished, but finished the race. The next day, he couldn't get off his couch.
Was it Lennox? Or who was that?
I believe it was, oh gosh, I can see his face right now. That was Eric Shepard, Sr.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And see, like, you don't realize, when you get a concussion, you don't know it.
Yeah. The next day, couldn't get off his couch.
Dude, you don't know it. And, like, even, like, with the wreck, I do not remember being in the hospital.
Yeah.
I remember, like, 5 days later, of being in the hospital because I was in ICU.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the hell is going on?
Whoa, this is
weird,
weird,
They brought a bill. And I was like, I ain't paying that. I'll tell you that right. Because, I mean, I was on the constant.
Just send that to my accountant.
Yeah, I was on morphine drip. I was getting 5 MRIs, 5 CAT scans, 5 X-rays a day, 5 times a day.
Right. Maybe racing just isn't your thing.
No, it is. Don't you worry. I still got a motor.
I know. Let's have a spelling contest.
Yeah. I still have a motor.
You still have a motor. Hey, then we're all good.
Yeah, still setting up at Dargy. So, trust me, that's my battle.
Before we wrap up,
anything
else we need to cover or go over or anything else before we wrap things up?
Oh, what is there? What can we touch base on?
I mean, we kind of covered a lot in a 52 minutes.
Oh, yeah, we're definitely over time. I knew this was going to happen.
I knew there was no way this was going to be a dirty 30.
No,
that was out the
No,
out
and it's
window.
like it's just I think as a whole, me being on the outside of racing now, because I'm not involved in it very much. Besides going,
instead of hanging out with buddies,
or
occasionally showing up in your slick boots and diving under a car
racing,
and getting dirty.
Yeah, making a TikTok about it and getting made fun of for that. But
okay.
Like, and I know people say it, but like, how do we fix it? But it's like, how do we fix community of racing? Like, I look back at when we were running Moeller, and I can only relate it to when we were all together. We had a community of racing that everybody loved being at the racetrack. It was the best nights at the racetrack that I had ever experienced, and I would be getting yelled at. You would be getting yelled at by me. Logan would be getting yelled at by me. I would be getting yelled at by wives. But everybody still cared about it, and like
and he came back the next week.
Yeah, and like the compact guys, I remember they were pissed at me. They showed up and there was only 14. And I was like, they'll be back, like old C.J. Rayburn says. Let them leave, they'll come back.
They'll be back.
The next week we had 42 because we cleaned the air up.
Okay.
Like there was a conversation.
Yeah.
And I don't know and that's why I'm not involved in racing as much, is because I've gone in the past.
So you want to get back involved?
I would love to, but
not right now.
There's not enough. We get too caught up in the money, and I understand that I'm not involved in that sense. So the money takes away the enjoyment of racing. Because we all got to remember, like, we could die tomorrow.
Tomorrow's never promised.
We all enjoy this sport as a getaway from the shit we got to deal with in our real life.
Okay.
And it is our outlet.
And a lot of times we let money and stuff affect it. And I understand. We work hard for our money.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've done that. But like Mike, when me and Mike, I go help Mike, I'm like, remember, we got to remove expectation. Because when you remove expectation from something, you remove the emotion attached to it. So you go to the racetrack without the expectation of winning. You go to the racetrack with the expectation to just drive a race car.
Just have fun.
And enjoy being there. Like some of the best times, me, Alex, and Mike are driving Eldora. We work on a race car. And it's just that community. Like, I wish that was back in the racing community. And I know it's easy to sit here and say, but we did it. There's an ability to do it. But it takes a lot of people getting together and saying, like Moeller, that track is the perfect place for it in this area. Larry's got a gold mine, and Larry's doing a phenomenal job. I actually start tuning in now because of how good of a job Larry's doing at Moeller. I enjoy watching races on John Sandlin's live. I mean, I watched Hildebrand just suck it up, but he's
just stink the show off.
yeah, but like I think Larry has a personality to where he can bring the racing community back to that place like we had.
Yeah.
Because that's why I love racing, is the people.
The people.
Like I go to Fairbury for the people. I go to Eldora for the people. I want to go to Moeller for the people.
For the people. It's close.
Yeah, it's
that
10 minutes
hurt.
up the road.
That's pretty nice.
And like the north-south, I go to north-south for the people. And we all go to the racetrack for the people, but we get lost in the money and we forget about the people.
The stress, the work, the
it's
racing, the whole racing side of it.
Yeah, how about we just what's going to be is going to be regardless, however much you try to control it.
Right.
Like that is out of our control. So as racers and fans, it's like, man, like we don't want racing to die. In order to see a change, you have to be the change.
Okay.
And it's like as racers and fans, like how about we start changing and start just giving a shit about each other.
So that's your final thought.
That's my final thought.
Let's give a shit about
just give a shit about somebody else.
All right. Help somebody when you can.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on the receiving end of it from more than I deserve. Right. And I've tried to help as many people as I could. That's how I got in a relationship with Robert. And he's one of the best people you'll ever meet.
Good dude.
There's not better people in racing than Robert Sterrett.
He's a good dude.
I would argue that against anybody.
Yeah.
As much as he's like a damn dad to me, because he still dads me all the time. There's nobody better.
Right.
You know, there needs to be more people like Robert and Joey Sterrett in racing. There needs to be more people that actually just give a shit about racing.
I wonder if we could get Robert and Joey to give a class on.
Just an etiquette of being a human.
Oh yeah, that's
like an etiquette of being
society has taken that out a lot.
Yeah, but just etiquette of being a good human.
We can't be at the track.
There's nobody
7
better
days
than
a week.
There's nobody better than Robert and Joey Sterrett.
Good people.
As humans.
Great people.
Like, and the amount they do for everybody. Like even Jason with the BWAPs. They work with him. They're involved in that. They help the Rice Brothers.
Okay.
And if we had more people like that in racing would be great again.
I got the slogan.
There we go.
Make
racing great again.
Make racing great again.
Shout out to Donald Trump.
All right, folks. Man, that's been a
good hour.
Oh yeah, solid hour. Hope you guys liked and enjoyed it. I mean, even if you're not gay, it's totally good.
Yeah, I mean, to each their own.
To each their own.
But I got to make money, and changing light switches don't do it enough.
We pick on Blake a little bit. We just like to have fun, all in good fun.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Sometimes this, doing this and scheduling stuff, I totally get that there's a lot of things outside of, hey, let's take an hour or two and sit down and record a conversation. There's life, and life happens. Schedules have to change, and we got to do the best we can. And Blake was gracious enough that last minute, like, yeah, I'll do it with you. So here we are. I'm not saying Blake wasn't a first choice. We've talked about this
I wasn't the first choice, but
we've talked about this though for
100%.
a while though.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of making all those pieces and logistics, and everybody, when they fall in place, sometimes they do, and sometimes you're just still up in the air on it. So I think we're good.
Here's the Slingin Dirt.
Slingin Dirt. Hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that great stuff. Check us out, and we'll see you at the track next week. Thanks.